Hi everyone. We are discussing about the fascinating living world. What are the features? What are the various criteria for the living and the non-living? Everything as we are discussing in this video. First of all, what is living? What are the characteristics which makes an organism to living? We know that there are certain characteristics which made all organisms which may be to be living. So the first of all, the characteristic is the cells. Okay, the organism which is having at least single cell is considered to be as a living. For example, the plant or the algae Chlamydomonas, which is having single cell, even though they are considered to be living. And the second characteristic, that is which is the ability to respond to the environment. As you know that all the living organisms, they are having they are perceiving certain stimuli and to respond to the environment. And another feature is the ability to reproduce. And all of them having the basic genetic material, DNA, and they are utilizing energy for their growth. And of course, they are growing and developing. So these are the 6 characteristics which makes an organism as living. And then come to the term biodiversity. So biodiversity, as the name indicates, diversity means they are having varied forms. So we can define biodiversity as the diverse or varied forms of living beings which differs from one another in their external appearance, size, color, pattern, structure, nutrition, behavior, habitat, and so on. So diversity means the variability. So if all the organisms having similar characteristics, which will not make a diverse nature. So all the features, all the organisms, they are having some uniqueness. That uniqueness made them as a part of the diversity of the nature. Okay. And when come to the term taxonomy, what do you mean by taxonomy? Or we are having certain idea regarding the taxonomy, that is the identification of organisms, which provide a scientific name for every living creature. So in general terms, the taxonomy means which is the identification and the nomenclature of the living organisms. So of course, we need a uniform international system of naming, because we know that all the organisms, they are having certain common names, or they are having certain vernacular names, or they are having some local names. So the local names which is vary from region to region, or sometimes from state to state, or even within the state, which is differ from area to area, and so that which cannot understood elsewhere. In one area it is naming so, and the other area it is naming so. In that case, the people cannot understood the common name. So that which can be, some common name can be used for different kinds of animals or different kinds of plants, or the same vernacular name which is belongs to different plants or different animals in different regions. And they cannot, this name may be changed and cannot apply universally. So that we need a common system of naming in order to understand everyone. Such kind of that scientific system of naming, that is termed as the nomenclature, and they are having 2 proper names. The first name is genus and the second name is species. Okay, the first name genus, which can be shared with other members. For example, the tiger and the lion, and both of them, they are having, or they are having certain characteristics similar. Okay, so when come to the nomenclature, the genus name may be similar for different organisms, But the second name, the organism's species name, which is specific. For example, the Rosa sinensis. That plant should be same in all nations, and that name which is specific to that plant. Okay, or Homo sapiens, which indicates the name of humans only, and wherever or whatever it is which will not belongs to any other organisms. The scientific name should be guided by a set of rules in the International Code of Bionomenclature. And come to the advantages or the characteristics of a scientific name, which should be unique, which means the humans, Homo sapiens, they are the unique organisms under the name Homo sapiens, and which can be understood and followed all over the world, which means the Homo sapiens means humans, that is the uniform and all over the world, and everyone can understood that the human is known as the Homo sapiens, or the scientific name or the binomial of the humans is the Homo sapiens, which cannot be changed easily and which provided certain characteristics of the organisms. When come to the scientific names, I told you that it is binomial nomenclature, and they are usually Latin names. Usually the binomials are organized as Latin names. That Latin names should be precise, uniform and understandable to the investigators throughout the world. And it should be in Latin language, and should be the name of the genus, that is begin with, when we write the names, the genus begins with the capital letter and the species name which begins with the small letter. And the scientific name should be written in italics. Okay, when we printed, the scientific name should be written in italics, and if not, it should be underlined separately when it handwritten. Okay, when it printed, it should be in italics. When we write, it should be underlined separately. One of the example for the scientific name is the Homo sapiens, that is for humans, and the line is Panthero leo. The binomial nomenclature, which is put forward by the Linnaeus. In his book, The Species Plantarum, the Linnaeus put forward the concept of binomial nomenclature. He is known as the father of taxonomy. When come to the classification, we know that there are certain arrangement, the classification. When we heard the term classification, we are having some ideas regarding the arrangement of various kinds of organisms in an effective way or in a systematic manner. This method of arranging organisms into groups or sets on the basis of similarities and differences is called as classification. So, the classification, which is a systematic arrangement, which means the classification or that arrangement is based on certain similarities and they are excluded based on certain differences. That is called as the classification. So, what is the importance of this classification? Which makes the study of a wide variety of organisms, which makes the study easily, and which projects before us a picture of all life forms at a glance. Because the classification, which is based on certain similarities and their differences. So, one group which represent certain similar characteristics, so that which projects a picture of all life forms in that particular group at a glance, and which is essential to understand the interrelationship among different groups of organisms, and which forms a base for the development of other biological sciences. So these are the certain importance of classification. And when come to the classification groups, you can see that the domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and the species. This is the hierarchy of the classification of groups, which means the domain or the kingdom which represent the uppermost category, and the species which means the lowest category. You can see in this diagrammatic representation, you can see that it is an inverted pyramid. That is the species which means which is specific. Okay, you can see in this example red fox, which is known as the Vulpes vulpes, which belongs to the domain Eukarya, which means there are two domains, Eukarya and the Prokarya. Okay, Eukarya, Prokarya. So, which belongs to the domain Eukarya, the kingdom Animalia, the phylum Chordata, the class Mammalia, the order Carnivora, the family Canidae, the genus Vulpes, and the species Vulpes vulpes. Which means, as I told you earlier, the species Vulpes vulpes, which is of course it is belongs to the red fox only. But when heard the term Vulpes, they are having the same genus Vulpes. There are different species are belongs to the same genus Vulpes. Or the family Canidae means they are having a group of similar genus. Okay. And the order, they are having a group of families. The same order having different families, they are sharing certain similar characteristics. And the class, the same kind, which is the arrangement of, or which is a group of orders. They are showing less similar characteristics than the order or the family. And likewise, the phylum, which belongs to a group of classes. And when come to the kingdom, which is having a group of phylum. And the domain, which is having the kingdom, which means the kingdom Animalia, the kingdom Plantae. Both of them are belongs to the same domain. Okay, so these are a hierarchical representation of classification of groups. When come to the species, they are having similar morphological characteristics. In this example, Vulpes, these characters, all the Vulpes having similar morphological characters, and they are able to breed among themselves and produce offspring of their own, which means, for example, a common example, all coconut trees, these are belongs to the species Cocos nucifera. They are able to breed among themselves and they are producing their own offsprings, or as a result of breeding, they are getting all the plants are as Cocos nucifera only. And they are resemble each other very closely, both structurally and functionally, which means all the coconut trees are similar in structurally and also their function wise. Even though there are certain categories that is belongs to subspecies level, variety level, there are certain orders are there, even though they are having similar structures or similar functions throughout the same species. Even if they are having some differences which belongs to different varieties. For example, different varieties, what is the difference between the species and the variety? For example, all rosa flowers, all roses, they are belongs to same species, even though there are differences in their, for example, their colors. Red roses are there, white roses are there, pink roses are there. All these are, and also some big flower varieties are there, small flowers are there. All these are different varieties of the same species. Okay. In all other senses, they are closely resemble each other. And when come to the genus, they are having related and less characteristics in common as compared to species. Which means they are having similar characteristics, even though which is not as much like that of a species. For example, the cats and the tigers both are belongs to the same genus, even though they are having a lot of differences, so that they are belongs to different species. cats, and the tigers. And the members of a genus, they are having identical reproductive organs. When we closely observe the tigers and the cats, they are having similar reproductive organs only, even though they are belongs to different species based on their differences. And when it comes to the family, which is represented by a group of related genera, which are more similar to each other than with the genera of other families, which means family having a group of similar genus, or which is a collection of genus, and the genus within a family, they are sharing certain common characteristics. Okay. And when come to the order, which is the assemblage of families, or order belongs to a group of families which are resembling one another in a few characteristics. And likewise, the class which represent organism of related orders, the phylum which includes all organisms belongs to different classes and they are having common characteristics, and the kingdom which includes all organisms who share a set of distinguished common characters, which means the kingdom Plantae, which means all the plants which are come under the kingdom Plantae, and the Animalia, all the animals belongs to the kingdom Animalia. And when come to the topic taxonomic aid, what are the aids or what are the features which makes to classify the organisms under each and every taxonomic categories? One is the herbarium. Herbarium, which is storehouse with a collection of dried plant specimens. We know that dried plant specimens which are mounted on herbarium sheets, which are labeled and systematically arranged, and which is based on that systematic arrangement, which is based on universally accepted system of classification, so that we can, these are representatives. So once we get a new organisms or new plant which can be compared to the organisms in a herbarium, and then we can classify that new plant into a respective systematic position. And likewise, the botanical garden. Herbarium, it is a lifeless. When come to the botanical garden, which contains a wide variety of plants for the scientific research, conservation, display, and the education. And we can see that when we visit a botanical garden, we can see that each and every plant is labeled with its botanical and scientific name and their family, so that the visitor can be identify each and every plant in a systematic manner, and which is a collection of variety of plants which is mainly for the scientific research. And biological museums, which is also having the collection of preserved plants and animals, which is again lifeless. They are preserved only, which are used for the study and the reference. Mostly these are preserved in jars using preservative solutions as the dry specimens. And another taxonomical aid is the zoological parks, which is the places in which house wild animals in a protected environment, which is similar to their natural habitats under human supervision. Zoological parks and the botanical gardens, which are very familiar to us, which are keeping in botanical garden all the plants which are keeping alive for the future references and research. And also in the case of zoological parks, again all the wild animals which are under a protected environment similar to this botanical garden. Okay. And another taxonomical aid is the taxonomic keys. So what do you mean by taxonomic key? When we going for a classification, we are relying on taxonomic keys. So what it is? The taxonomic aid which is used for the identification of plants and animals. So I told you the classification is based on a set of similarities and dissimilarities. So the keys which are based on contrasting characters, generally in a pair called couplet. For example, we have to classify a group of plants, or we are collecting a group of plants. We have to go in classification. In that case, the first of all, we are taking a character like flower. In that case, we can classify flowering plants and non-flowering plants. These are actually contrasting pairs or contrasting characters, flowering and non-flowering. This pair is called as couplet. Okay, which represents a choice made between two opposite options like flowering or non-flowering, so that we can accept one group as a flowering and the other one as a rejecting as non-flowering. And each and every statement in the key is called as a laid. So we can use separate taxonomic keys which are required for different families, genus, species for the identification purposes, which are usually analytical. We can analyze each and every characters by using these taxonomic keys. So the taxonomic keys are one of the major taxonomic key which is provided for the classification. So that is about the first chapter, A Living World. I hope all of you understood well, and also if you have any doubts, you can comment. Thank you.